The Prime Minister will this morning confirm a major overhaul of Stage 3 tax cuts, breaking an election promise to deliver cost of living relief. But it's too late for one Queensland cafe owner who can't afford to pay her bills and will now shut up shop. A story being repeated right around the country. Graceville fine foods owner Wendy Cox joins us now live from Brizzy. Wendy, good morning to you. Gee, it's a difficult decision for you, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make.
Talk us through it if you can.
So we've been here for 13 years. It's been the most amazing 13 years ever. But since COVID hit, we've just been going down and down and down, and we just haven't been able to pick back up again. And, you know, just things like power has just gone up, all the cost of food has gone up, wages have gone up. So, and, you know, we're not alone, it's everybody out there, but it's just too hard to run a small business now, and we're just treading water. So our lease runs out at the end of this month, and we've decided that it's just too hard, so we're going to walk away, which is really sad. Tell
us what that emotion does for you, and given how much hard work you've all put into it.
Oh no, we've just, you know, I have a wonderful team, a small team, but we all, you know, I myself work 7 days a week, and the rest of my team do 5 or 6 days a week, and I've got goosebumps. My heart is just pounding because I don't want to go, but we don't have any choice. So. Yeah, but you know, I'm not complaining. It's been the most amazing time ever, and I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat if I could.
Hey, what do you think then, when the government's promised these tax changes and changed the tax cuts? Would that have provided you any relief, even if you were able to stay open?
Possibly, but it's just, you know, just power. Power is massive. Like, our little shop is $3,000 a month, and for a little tiny business, that's just massive. So, and the cost of food is just incredible. We have to keep putting our prices up, and at the moment you're looking at $20 for a coffee and a sandwich, and people just can't afford that. And we don't make hardly anything off that, and we have to keep putting the prices up because of the food. So. I don't know that the tax cuts would have helped us at all. But yeah.
Look, you small businesses are the heart and soul of this country. Do you think the government could have given some more relief to you and sooner?
Oh gosh, yes, that would have been amazing. That would have turned us around. You know, we could have done so much more than what we do. So yeah, if the government would step up, that would be fantastic.
Wendy, I'm really sad for you. I'm sorry that that after all these years of hard work you have to close up, but best of luck, huh?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on today.
Pleasure, Wendy. Sarah.
All right, well, let's bring in Treasurer Jim Chalmers in Canberra now. Treasurer, we'll ask you about Wendy in a moment, but first of all, how does it feel to break a promise with the Australian people?
Well, I want to be upfront with your viewers, Sarah. We have come to a different view about these tax cuts, and we've done that for a very simple reason. And that is, we've found a better way to provide more cost of living relief to more people in a way that doesn't push up inflation. And so the tax cuts that the Prime Minister will outline today, they are better for Middle Australia, better for cost of living pressures, better for women and workforce participation, better for nurses and teachers and truckies, and better for the economy. And so our responsibility as a government is, when we find a better way to deliver bigger tax cuts to more people to help them with the cost of living, then our responsibility is to do that. We've come to a different view, and today we're explaining why we have.
A better view according to you. I mean, the issue that you now face is that you have trust issues to contend with the public. How can the public possibly lean on anything you say and take it as gospel? You took this to the election.
Because you build trust by making the right decisions for the right reasons in the interests of the people. And you do that even when it's politically contentious and politically difficult, as this is. And so the changes that we are announcing today, the different position that we are now taking, is because it's become increasingly clear to us that we need to do more to help people with the cost of living pressures that they are under. Yeah. This is the best way to do it. And so we're explaining why we've taken a different position.
Absolutely, people need help with cost of living, Treasurer. We all know that. But in what world does breaking a promise lead to greater trust?
Well, because what we're doing here is we're providing more help for more people. And so...
But you broke a promise to achieve that. I mean, couldn't you have been upfront? Wouldn't that have led the public to have more faith in you?
Well, first of all, we've always said that the tax system is a good way to provide cost of living relief. We've always said that governments should return bracket creep when they can afford to do that. But when we found a better way to give bigger tax cuts to more people, then obviously we should pursue that. And that's what we're doing today. You build trust by making the right decisions for the right reasons. People will be beneficiaries of the changes that we are announcing today. And that's really important too. Everybody still gets a tax cut. There are still tax cuts for people on higher incomes, but there's a bigger emphasis on middle Australia, and that's important.
Some of those concerns that you outlined there, Treasurer, obviously exist and have existed for some time. So why didn't you just say that at the last election? Why did you commit to this? This was legislated. You took this to the election and were unequivocal. We know that the Prime Minister, you have all promised this time and time again for 2 years now, and you didn't suggest that you might revisit it during any moment, especially in the lead up to the election.
Well, it became increasingly clear to us, Sarah, in recent times that there was a much better way to deliver the same amount of tax cuts in our economy.
When did that start for you, Treasurer, then? I mean, how long were you deceiving the public on this?
Well, first of all, obviously, I don't sign up to that characterisation of it. You know, we had a view about these stage 3 tax cuts, and we've now come to a different view for the right reasons.
You don't come to those decisions or those views, though, overnight, do you, Treasurer? I mean, these changes would have been contemplated for some time now. You don't make a decision like this overnight. When did you take this to Treasury?
Well, it became increasingly clear to us over Christmas, over summer, that we could deliver these tax cuts in a better way. The Prime Minister has said publicly that he tasked Treasury and the Finance Departments, myself and Katie Gallagher, to come up with other ways to provide additional cost of living relief for people doing it tough. We obviously have been thinking over the summer period about how we do that. We received the Treasury advice and we changed the government's position on Tuesday of this week when the Cabinet agreed to the new tax cuts which are being outlined today.
The point being, you had Treasury working on this and these changes while you were still denying it publicly.
Well, what we said publicly was that the government hadn't changed its position. The government changed its position on Tuesday. But it did become increasingly clear to us over the course of Christmas that this was the best way to provide more cost of living relief to more people who are doing it tough.
Treasurer, and absolutely, people who are doing it tough deserve all the help they can get. There are people, as you know, who are out there on single incomes. I mean, $150,000 on one income isn't necessarily wealthy for a lot of people. They've made their decisions going forward, sending their kids to schools and so on, based on these promises, based on the fact that they were going to have these extra funds, and now they don't have them.
Oh, they'll still be getting a substantial tax cut, Sarah. I mean, that can't be forgotten here. Everybody will get a tax cut compared to the taxes that they are paying now. And for a lot of people, including people on higher incomes, those tax cuts will still be substantial. But the emphasis here is on middle Australia, people on low and middle incomes, teachers and nurses and truckies and policemen and women and the like, who are substantial beneficiaries. But everybody still gets a tax cut. And people will have some tax relief from the 1st of July, no matter what tax-paying income that they are on. And I think that's important that we remember that.
We know, Treasurer, and you would well know too, that many politicians have made promises that they've broken. I guess the issue that we have here is that surely the public deserves better transparency, considering you had been looking at this for some time. Do you think that this broken promise will cost you at the next election?
Well, this is about people, not politics. You know, we've taken a deliberate...
That's the point.
We've taken a deliberate decision here to get to the right outcome for more people, even though the politics of it will be difficult. We acknowledge that. Our opponents will play their usual mindless and nasty negative politics because they don't want to engage on the issue. They have remarkably said that they will unwind these changes, which means going to the election, jacking up taxes on middle Australia to fund an even bigger tax cut for people on the highest incomes. And so there will be politics played, there will be people, commentators who would rather help the coalition than help middle Australia. We understand that. Our job is to make the right decision for the right reasons. If we come to a different view, to front up on shows like this and explain our different position, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and I think the public deserves as much transparency as possible. Treasurer, thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Sarah.
Welcome back. Well, Anthony Albanese will announce his revised Stage 3 tax cut plan in just a matter of hours. The PM expected to break his election promise to provide cost of living relief to more than 11 million Aussies.
So how will the government its new plan impact Aussies? To answer this question, hopefully, we're joined by the NAB's chief economist, Alan Oster. Alan, good morning to you. Nice to see you bright and early. What do you make of these changes? First up,
the point I think it's important is the amount of money the government's spending is the same as the original stage 3. What they're really doing is they're essentially lowering the tax rate, if you like, at the lower ends, and also you can earn more money before you actually start paying tax. And so that means that up to about 135,000, there's quite a benefit in terms of what the average person would get. To make it neutral in terms of cost, what they've done is they've introduced the relative to the previous stage 3 tax cuts, a new essential 37 cents in the dollar range that goes from essentially 135 up to 190, and essentially from 190 the old tax rate kicks back in. So essentially it's a redistribution with the focus very much on anyone below 135, you're better off, and anyone above that, you still get a tax cut, but nowhere near as much. And roughly, if you're above 200,000, your tax cut gets cut in half.
I mean,
but everyone gets a tax cut.
Yeah, what you've just outlined there gives us some insight into how much planning would have had to go into this decision, right? I mean, this is something they've been denying they're going to do for at least 2 years now. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No, I'm assuming Treasury's probably been working on it for the last month. They're really just changing the distribution. Now, what impact does that have? It probably makes people at the lower end of the income distribution, if they've got more money, they're probably more likely to spend it. At the top end, people will basically still get a tax cut. They may be more inclined to go and see their tax advisor as to how to do it. And I don't know whether there's going to be a lot of trust and confidence out there as associated with these changes. So to me, from a macro point of view, it really doesn't make a lot of difference. And so if I'm off, is the RBA going to react to this? No. They're just basically going to sit and watch. And then you get into arguments about, should you have kept the original one? Have you tailored it more towards people that are doing tough at the bottom end of the income distribution? And how do you put it all together and still not cost the government any more money? And so, it's a distributional impact. And I have a lot of sympathy, the idea that, if people are doing it hard, you try and help them a bit more. And the rich sort of have to pay or don't get as big a tax cut. But net, it doesn't really have a big macro impact.
All right, that's really interesting. Great to talk to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
That never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.